Good afternoon, and welcome to Black Student Success Week, and welcome to the Black Hour. This is our 6th year. I am so happy to be with you this afternoon. Thank you for being here. Man, I get to work this week with one of the best educators that I know. Me and her are known as the originals. Dr. Keith Curry calls us the dynamic duo. So I want to pass it to my partner, Dr. Helen Young, to introduce herself.
Well, good morning and good afternoon, whatever your time zone is, wherever you are. We want to welcome you to the 6th annual Black Student Success Week. I am just so elated to be here with you and share some dynamic experiences over this next 5 days. Dr. Herb English is my partner in crime, as he talked about earlier, and I'm ready to put this thing in. Let's make it happen, Herb.
Well, Helen, I heard that we got somebody coming for our spot this week.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that. Keith Curry kind of gave us some heads up on that.
Well, can you introduce what they call the new school?
Well, there's these two amazing individuals that's now on the block. It's Dr. Pilar Nova Huffman and Mr. Carl Kemp. I'm gonna let them throw out a little bit of shout out about themselves. Pilar, it's all yours.
Thank you, OGs. Thank you so much. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here with everyone today at the 6th annual Black Student Success Week. It's a pleasure. And I know that as a new original person, we're just happy, right? Carl is here by my side, but I proudly serve as the Professional Development Director here at Compton College. But today I am representing with my colleague here. Carl, where are you, Carl?
You know, I'm hearing voice. I'm not sure where my video is. They won't let me jump in. The old school is hating on the new school for some reason.
See, Helen,
we will not be
stay
stopped.
Ready. You don't got to get ready.
Now they're starting my video, but it's just an honor and a pleasure to be a part of something so special. I want to thank Dr. Keith Curry for his leadership and everyone involved, from staff to all of our panelists. It's just an amazing opportunity. I'm so excited to be here with so many folks who are interested in the forward development of Black students. It's really not a competition, Dr. English. Even Michael Jordan had to resort to a jump shot. You just don't have the lift sometimes, you know, when you in OG, you know, we'll retire your number in the stadium, you come to the games and sit courtside. But right now, you know, Dr. Huffman and I have, I think, being put in a position to take the team to the next level.
Absolutely.
With that being said, we're going to pass it off to you, Pilar.
Thank you. Thank you. So without further ado, I want to say thank you to Dr. Terrence Elliott for sharing his music again for this year's Black Hour webinars. Make sure to check him out online on Spotify, YouTube Music, and Amazon Music. Also, especially thank you so much to our sponsors. Special shout out to all of them. Long Beach City College, Compton College, we have LCW. Thank you so much for all of your continued support. And this year, all of the Black Hour webinar and watch party attendees will be entered into a daily drawing to win a $50 gift card from Costco. Each day, there will be 5 recipients, 3 online webinar attendees, and 2 watch parties to award to one of their attendees. So shout out to Keenan and Associates for sponsoring the Black Hour attendee and watch party giveaway. And don't forget to grab your Black Student Success Week merch featuring this year's theme, Lift Up, Level Up, the Rise of Black Serving Institutions. And if you're rocking this year's merch, don't forget to tag us on social media. Follow us on X and Instagram for updates and check out YouTube for recordings of this year's and past the Black Hour webinars. And Carl?
Yep. And we want you to make sure you sign up to join the watch party if you're viewing from your campus. Let us know where you are, represent your campus here, scan the QR code for the watch party attendance registration form. And we got some great events. Let me read them from my list here. We've got, boom, the after party. Discussion is going to be happening from 1 to 2, so you can chime in like TNT after a basketball game and hear us talk about the incredible day that we are experiencing today. We also have our student-centered webinars, a student hour happening Monday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. where you'll have a chance to do this. And lastly, we're very excited about a new addition to this year's Black Student Success Week, the Sneaker Ball. We're doing regional sneaker balls. It's an in-person event happening Friday, April 25th to close out Black Student Success Week. We encourage and hope you will attend in your freshest kicks, your freshest gear. We see Dr. Helen Young representing the OGs with the lid. I'm sure she's got some matching footwear to go with it, and we want you to step out and demonstrate the style that defines Black people, that defines the world this Friday. It's going to be at 4 regional host sites, the College of San Mateo, Merritt College, San Diego City College, and the college that started it all, Long Beach City College. Scan the QR codes on the screen, or you can check the links in the chat after this event. And with that, we'll go over today's agenda. First, we have a welcome and brief summary of Black serving institutions by the one and only Herb English and Dr. Helen Young. Second, we have the African American data presentation by Dr. Frank Harris III, professor and co-director of San Diego State University Community College Equity Assessment Lab, and the one and only Dr. Tina King, president of San Diego College of Continuing Education. These two are known as the Obamas of community college, not only for their academic excellence, but also because they look so good individually and together. Then we'll have our panel discussion, and finally the closing remarks by the one and only, the preeminent, the internationally known Dr. Ed Bush, president of Cosumnes Rivers College. And with that, I will pass it back over to the OGs.
Carl, thank you so much. Appreciate you. I will get it started with talking about Black Serving Institution designation. In July of 2024, Dr. Luke Wood and I testified in Sacramento with the Assembly of Higher Education on the importance of the Black Serving Institution designation. In October of 2024, California enacted landmark legislation through Senate Bill 1348, formally recognizing Black Serving Institution, BSI, within the state's higher education system. This legislation, the first of its kind nationally, establishes statewide designation for California community colleges, the California State University campuses, and the University of California campuses where at least 8% of the student population identifies as Black or African American. The passage of this bill is significant because it acknowledges the long-standing inequities faced by Black students in higher education and provides a framework for state-supported funding, programming, and student success initiatives specifically designed to support Black student achievement, campus climate, and degree completion. The Assembly's approval of this bill reflects a critical step toward educational equity in California. It positions the state as a national leader in addressing racial disparities in higher education outcomes, fostering culturally affirming environments, and creating policies that directly respond to the needs of Black students. By formally recognizing institutions that serve Black student populations, the legislation holds campuses accountable for improving the outcomes while providing targeted resources and partnerships to advance racial equity system-wide. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm going to pass it now to Dr. Helen Young.
We want to kick this this webinar off this morning or this afternoon with two of the most prominent educators here in the state of California. And I'm just so happy to be able to introduce them. Dr. Frank Harris, professor and co-director of the SEAL, or the Community College Equity Assessment Lab at San Diego State, and Dr. Tina King, president of San Diego College of Continuing Education. Yes, the Black Obamas of California. We give it to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Young. I'll take Black Obamas. I'm also a fan of the Carters, so that's all good too. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everyone here. Good afternoon. Now, I grew up playing baseball, right? And I always batted leadoff. So I got to say, going first and kind of kicking us off, this feels very natural to me. And I think we can all agree that this year's Black Student Success Weeks, it hits a little bit different. It feels a little heavier. It feels more urgent. And so I thank you all for being here. Your presence matters, especially in a time when in some parts of this country, it's not just controversial, but it is actually illegal to talk about Black student success, let alone push for policies that support Black students. And so I'm glad you're here. And I hope you keep showing up, not just today, but every day in every space where the success of Black students is on the line. Now, before we get into the data and the dialogue, I want to share a text. I got an interesting text from my brother, Dr. Keith Curry, a few days ago, and I want to share what he said. He said, just so you know, you better bring your A game on Monday because I'm coming to shut it down. No pressure, but you might want to bring that old school Frank out, that one that was hungry, the hungry researcher before all these titles, because I'm going back to 19-year-old Keith. So be ready. You've been warned. Now, I got to say that message kind of lit a bit of a fire in me. And so what I need y'all to do is cue up that Kendrick Lamar track because I'm stepping to this moment with some unapologetic truth. We talk about Black serving institutions and challenging anti-Blackness, but the truth is some of the most anti-Black stuff that is happening within our own Black communities. I see a lot of my brothers advocate for unity and leadership, and I see them do it with depth and with genuineness and with authenticity. But I've also seen moments where that advocacy falls woefully short when it comes to showing up for Black women, accusing Black women of being defensive, not presidential, or transactional in their relationships because they refuse to dim their light or to limit their ambitions in order to make others feel comfortable. And those of you who consider yourselves allies in this work, I thank you too. But allyship is not just about intention, it's about impact. So when you criticize Black leaders for being too young or too visible, or for using social media to amplify their work, or referring to themselves as Dr. Harris and Dr. King instead of just Frank or Tina, we need to ask ourselves, are we supporting their leadership or are we trying to contain it? Are we mentoring or are we race lighting? Especially when these acts are paired with public call-outs that seem more about flexing status and control than it is about care. True allyship requires humility and respect for the lived experiences of Black people. It means understanding that the journey of a Black leader often looks different than your own, not like us. And that difference should not be viewed as a deficit. And at the end of the day, Black servingness is not just about securing a designation or gaining recognition or bringing more funding to your institution. It's about how you treat the Black colleagues on your campus. It's about how you support Black students and educators. In 2025, we don't need no more allies that's leveraging proximity to Blackness to boost their own reputations or engaging in performative solidarity just to prove that they're down with Black folks. And Black serving institutions aren't just built through strategy or data or policy. They're built through people, through trust, through accountability, through how we show up for each other, especially now when it's hard. So let's hold that truth as we continue this conversation about rising Black serving institutions. Not to call each other out, but to call each other in, to do better together. And with that being said, Dr. King and I are humbled and honored to be in this space with you today. It's a privilege to help set the stage for what we know will be an engaging dialogue about what it truly means to be a Black serving institution. And as a part of that conversation, we'll begin by sharing a few key data points that speak to the current status of Black people in the United States, data that underscores the critical role that higher education must play in advancing Black prosperity. These insights come from a research brief we co-authored for the Campaign for College Opportunity, which was released this past Thursday. And we strongly encourage everyone who is serious about Black servingness to read it, reflect on it, and share it widely. And then we'll close out with a set of recommendations for institutions that aspire to be Black serving. And then after that, we'll transition the conversation to our esteemed panelists that have joined us today. Next slide. Next slide. So let's start by considering where Black people are socioeconomically in the US at this time. Today, Black people make up about 14% of the US population. That's nearly 50 million people. And here in California, Black people represent about 5.3% of the population, which is around 2.1 million people. Nearly 1 in 5 Black people in the United States are living in poverty. That's about 10 million people, and it's much higher than the national poverty rate of 12%. And in the year 2023, the median household income for Black families was just under $56,500 and much lower than the national median of $75,000. And when we talk about wealth, we have to talk about home ownership, because owning a home is one of the clearest ways to pass down wealth in this country. But because of racist policies like redlining, Black families have faced huge barriers to home ownership. And as a result, the Black home ownership rate was 46% in 2023, which is the lowest of any major racial or ethnic group. And these are some of the key reasons why Black access and Black success in higher education is absolutely essential. Because historically, it has been the only viable pathway to economic prosperity for Black people in the United States. Next slide. But as we know, access to higher education does not guarantee success. And Black students often face numerous barriers in colleges and universities that prevent them from fully maximizing their potential and their cultural wealth. Next slide. And so institutions that are serious about becoming Black serving must confront one of the most insidious barriers to Black excellence, that is campus racism. In our report, Dr. King and I highlight some key data points that speak to this very issue. For example, more than half of campus hate crimes that were reported by the US Department of Education in the year 2020 were motivated by racial bias. And 1 in 5 Black students reported experiencing discrimination and feeling unsafe on their campuses. And 37% of Black students say that having support from a school counselor or a mental health professional would help them stay enrolled in college. Next slide. As a result of this campus racism and a host of other factors, Black student enrollment has steadily declined, dropping by 8.4% since the fall of 2019, And of course, that is a sharper decline than the 6.3% decrease seen across all racial and ethnic groups during the same period. And with that, I want to turn it over to Dr. King, who will take us through a few more data points to inform our discussion of Black servantness.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Harrison. I'm so glad to be here with all of you to celebrate Black Student Success Week. What we see on this slide, unfortunately, highlights that Black high school students are not supported to graduate at the national average rate. The patterns, I'm so sorry, I just want to make sure we're on the next slide. There you go. Thank you so much. Great. So what you're seeing is, unfortunately, that Black high school students are not supported at the national average rate. The patterns of Black students' attrition in education begin well before post-secondary education level. Black students are not supported through high school completion at the same rates as their peers from other racial ethnic groups. For example, data from 2020 high school graduating cohort show that graduation rates for Black students was 81% compared to 90% for white students and 92% for Asian American students. Thank you. Next slide, please. So now what we're seeing here on this slide, our public two-year colleges have long been assumed to be a pathway to success for Black students. Yet data from the 2019-2020 cohort reveals that only 21% of Black students at public community colleges completed their program within 3 years, compared to 36% of white students and 74% for Asian American students. Now, I just want to remind you what I said. I said 21% of Black students versus 36% for white students and 74% of Asian American students. Next slide, please. A similar pattern is evident for Black students who enrolled in four-year institutions. According to the data presented, less than half of Black students in the 2016-2017 cohort graduated within 6 years, regardless of the institution type. Specifically, the 6-year graduation rate for Black students was 42% at public four-year schools, 46% at private nonprofit institutions, and 33% at private for-profit institutions. Next slide, please. Thank you. So all of the aforementioned data on high school completion, college enrollment, and success underscore a critical point. Black people in the U.S. are less likely to obtain a college degree by the age of 25 compared to other racial/ethnic groups. In fact, only 1/4 of Black individuals in this age group have a college degree, compared to 1 in 3 for all other racial ethnic groups overall. So, I want to be very clear that this is not to suggest that Black people are less interested in pursuing or completing higher education, but rather their enrollment in institutions they're enrolling in institutions that we all know were not designed for their participation or success. And so what we're seeing is an outcome of that. Next slide, please. So this brings us to one of many examples of why most colleges and universities, aside from HBCUs, fall woefully short of being Black serving. Of the more than 1.6 million full-time faculty members in U.S. post-secondary institutions, fewer than 113 are Black. An institution cannot claim to be a Black serving institution without equitable representation of Black faculty. Black faculty play a vital role in shaping educational experiences and outcomes. They serve as role models. They prepare students that are aspiring to academic careers. They bring Black scholarship into the curriculum and intentionally create learning environments that are safe, welcoming, and inclusive for Black students. And I want to go a step further. I would also be remiss if I didn't even acknowledge Black administrators as well. Next slide, please. So as previously noted, thank you. As previously noted, California is home to more than 2 million Black people, all of whom deserve access to high quality and affordable post-secondary education. So what can institutions do to embrace their responsibility as Black serving institutions. So in the brief, we have highlighted a few key recommendations. We expand on these ideas in our research brief, which we encourage every one of you to read and share if you want to understand how serving Black students in post-secondary education is key. So this brief highlights a couple. So one of our recommendations for becoming a Black serving institution is, number one, announce tenure track faculty and management positions that explicitly require a demonstrated commitment to closing racial equity gaps for Black students. Number two, integrate equity-related metrics into an annual performance evaluations. This one is really important. I want to say that again. It's important that we have equity-related metrics that are embedded in annual performance evaluations for employees, our faculty, et cetera. You all know what that means, so let me get going. Number three, require faculty seeking promotion to provide evidence of contributions to equity in teaching, research, or service that directly impact Black students and/or communities. Number four, ensure new course proposals incorporate perspectives from Black scholarship. And our last one is to provide targeted professional development for faculty with consistently high failure or withdrawal rates among Black students. Of course, we recognize that these ideas may be met with resistance and even threats of withdrawn funding from the Trump administration. But institutions that are truly committed to being Black serving must find legal, thoughtful, and creative ways to prioritize actions that serve the best interests of Black students. You know, it's easy to embrace Black servingness when the political winds are favorable, but it's just as important, if not more so, to remain steadfast in the face of political resilience. Doing so sends a powerful message to those who matter most, Black students. You know, our Black students need to know that their institution is unwavering in its commitment to their well-being and their success. Next slide, please. So as we close out our presentation, we want to once again thank the Campaign for College Opportunity for including Dr. Harris and I to be a part of the Equity Inclusion Action initiatives through this publication. The Campaign for College Opportunity remains unwavering in their commitment to ensure that higher education is upheld as a pathway to racial and economic justice, working to eradicate generations of discrimination against Black people. And as the authors of this brief, you will see that the publication is a call to action to the state and system leaders. I want to remind all of you to scan and download this free brief through the QR code that you see on the screen now. And I want to also thank you for participating in the 2025 Black Student Success Week. We know that you could be anywhere right now, but you chose to be here, which sends a very strong message. We also ask that you please stay tuned for the upcoming panelists. You know, we look forward to hearing what they have to share about the data presented today and hearing from their perspectives on what is needed during the current political climate to continue serving Black serving institutions. We hope you all stay engaged throughout the entire week of Black Student Success. And I want to thank Dr. Keith Curry for all of your work, for all of your vision, and all of your love for not only Black students, but Black administrators, employees throughout the system. And now I'd like to turn it over to my sister and friend, Dr. Young. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dr. Harris, and thank you, Dr. King. I hope you were disturbed, quite honestly, by the data that Dr. Harris and Dr. King shared with us. We are now going to shift to our panel, and let me introduce these amazing panelists to you. Dr. Suni Cook, who's a superintendent and president at Miracosta Community College, and also, probably more importantly, to acknowledge that she serves as the board of chair for the American Association of Community College. Dr. John B. King Jr., who currently serves as the chancellor at State University of New York, also known as the SUNY system. Also, Juan Salgado is with us today. He is the chancellor of the City Colleges of Chicago. And last, but certainly not least, Dr. Karen Stout, who is the president of Achieving the Dream on so many of our campuses. Welcome, panelists, welcome. I'm now going to shift it to Herb Harris, who's going to ask the first question of our amazing panelists.
Dr. Young, thank you so much. First question, and thank you, panelists, for being here. We totally appreciate you, and you are definitely going to give us some keywords about the rise of Black serving institutions. But first question for Dr. Suni Cook. Each of you leads institutions that shape the national conversation on education. In your own words, what does a bold commitment to Black student success look like at the system level? And what does it mean to you personally beyond the position you hold?
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. It's a pleasure to represent both MiraCosta College, which is one of the 116 community colleges in the state of California, and also to speak a little bit about my role as board chair at AACC. So I want to say anything that I talk about at MiraCosta is really done by a team of individuals and many, many allies that we have back on campus. So I may talk about things that we're doing, but that's really a cadre of people across our college. And our story really begins with a commitment that we made to racial justice in 2019. And that was before the murder of George Floyd. We realized that we needed to make a commitment to racial justice that really then impacted all of our work. It impacted our policies. We put into place a board policy that really meant the board was responsible for anti-racist performance, anti-racist behavior across our own institution. We did climate surveys that we regularly do to measure the climate of our institution and belonging. It has impacted how we do hiring and professional development, and that we do race-conscious implementation of guided pathways, because we have a commitment to being a racially just campus, and we have a commitment to taking on the institutional responsibility for equity gaps and closing equity gaps. And then we name the folks in our student population who have not been served well by education. So we name the populations, and certainly African American Black population is on that list of people that we have to help navigate the systems of education. So we've been doing this in a very systematic way. We've been doing book readings together as a campus. We have Dr. Ruha Benjamin coming to campus tomorrow. We have also implemented things that involve looking at our guided pathways metrics from start to finish and disaggregating that data. And what we've learned over the years of doing this, whether it's completing matriculation, 12 units, an ed plan, whatever that might be, we're actually eliminating the equity gap for African American Black students. And we've been able to do that because of these concerted efforts over, what is it now, 6 years. And then we monitor all the way to completion, degree completion, certificate, and transfer. And we've really eliminated, all but in a couple of areas, we've eliminated those gaps, and that means we still have work to do. Let me just speak for a moment about national organizations. And Karen, you're much more, in the thick of this. I will say we have some 28 different states that have passed DEIA legislation. And that means national organizations that want to serve across 50 states really have to make some difficult choices, because some states, if you are not explicit about DEIA, they will not join. Other states, if you mention DEI, they cannot join because of the regulations and laws in their state around how they spend their money and what kinds of organizations they can contribute money to. And so it's a very difficult place to walk right now when you're trying to serve 50 states and the different places that they are, and the governors and the attorney generals and their legislatures are. But I will tell you that what we've learned from our friends in Florida who have been at this for much longer is many times, in order to do the work for their students, they have to reframe, rename, and keep doing the same, because the work that they do for their students is the most important thing. And so I think that national organizations are having to look at how do they navigate that while meeting the needs of their colleges in red and blue and purple states. And so with that, I'll stop. And Karen, I know you have more to say on that.
Yeah, definitely would like to throw it over to Karen Stout.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that shift and the national perspective. At Achieving the Dream, where we do work in 45 states plus in South Africa and in New Zealand, we are remaining strong and steadfast to our commitment to equity, while at the same time understanding that the equity work can look different in different states and even in different parts of different states. And we really work with our colleges to understand context and what I like to say is leveraging their localness, giving them the tools that can help them with universal design and targeted design while stepping away from being prescriptive in how they use those tools, with the goal really to be, and I think from achieving the dreams perspective, to help them to leverage the explicit value of the community college experience for every Black learner, and to do that by building systems and structures and policies and climate so that all students can succeed, with universal design changes that we know are really important for all students, yet disproportionately support Black learners towards success. And I'm sure we'll get to some of those practices as we have this conversation. And also, as is, I guess, able to be done in different contexts and in different states, to adopt what I'll call data-informed high-impact practices that sort in Black learners rather than sort them out. And that's a really important piece. You can't, from my perspective, it is hard to just do universal design because we will still be leaving learners behind, and I think Black learners behind. We also have to have a strategy that looks at targeted, data-informed, scaled interventions that are explicitly designed for Black learners. I know we're going to talk more about that, but that threading that needle at this point in time for achieving the dream is a day-to-day activity. So I appreciate the work in California and the explicitness with which you're able to move forward with the work. And I want to thank Dr. Harris and Dr. King for an exceptional report. I circulated that to my ATD team this morning. The data points are compelling and make a case. I mean, this work is in our DNA as community colleges. It is, it takes, we have other questions to get to, but thank you.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Stroud. I'm going to throw it to Dr. Young for question 2.
Thank you, Dr. Stroud. Want to throw this one to you, Dr. King. We know that data tells a painful truth. Despite gains, Black students still face deep inequities in persistence and completion. What part of the data keeps you up at night? And how does it shape your urgency of your work today?
Sure. First, thank you all for this conversation, such an important conversation in this moment. Look, I think, what you saw in the report was a gap in degree attainment. And ultimately, for me, that's a very strong indicator of our sector not doing enough to serve African-American students well. And so at the end of the day, we can't just be about access. We have to be about completion. And we have to also be about completion with success in the economy. And so the other data point that keeps me up at night is wondering, are we having the earnings impact for Black students that is at least competitive with the earnings impact of higher education attainment for white students, Asian students, and Latino students? But when you think about the racial wealth gap in this country, we have a long way to go to ensure an equitable economy. And part of how we get there is making sure that our Black students who graduate actually have the degrees, the internship experiences, so that they can turn that higher education into economic opportunity for themselves and their families. The other thing I'd say is we are in this very strange time where we face these very significant, disturbing data points, and yet the federal government is retreating from its civil rights responsibilities. And so I think the responsibility for all of us in the higher education sector is even higher now, to make sure that we are the voice for these issues, because clearly it's not going to come from Washington.
So, Mr. Salgado, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, let me just pick up on where John has left off. We're here in the city of Chicago. We're in a vibrant city, a city with incredible opportunity, and yet it's also a city where it's my home, by the way, where City Colleges, serves a beloved 72,000 students across 7 campuses, but it's a city that has seen disinvestment and disregard for Black people, Black communities. We're called as an institution, I would say it's in our mission now, to work towards racial equity and a more just city. We put that in our mission statement as an institution of higher education because we understand our role, right? When you see all this abundance, there's a lot of abundance in this city, and yet, there's a people in our own hometown that haven't historically had the opportunity. And so that's what keeps me up at night. That's what keeps me thinking. That's what keeps me and our institution working. But I think one of the big things we have to do is we have to make sure that that whole world in our city sees the abundance of talent that exists in the Black community, and understands, very vividly that there is an abundance of talent. We have to start with ourselves, from the very top. 4 of our 7 presidents are Black presidents. 5 of our 7 vice presidents are Black vice presidents of academics. 40% of our staff, 32% of our faculty. We have to work on these things. But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to, what John was talking about, is outcomes. Look, I'm going to tell you something that, may sound great, but it's not. We graduate at City Colleges more Black students than any institution of higher education in the state of Illinois. You'd actually have to add up the graduates from 3 public 4-year universities with the largest number of Black student graduates to match City College's impact on total number of graduates. How can that be? It can't be. Right. Not if you understand the abundance of talent that exists in our communities. And so, we're trying to up our game, as a way to make sure that others do the same, right? And so for us, we set a goal of, 55% of our credential-seeking students achieving a degree of certification or transferring within a 4-year period. And I want you to know we're at 41% today. Okay. And we just saw this past year a increase of 4 percentage points from the prior year for Black students. And so, we're going to get to that 55%, and that's going to bring stability, growth to families, the ability to buy a home, to begin, to generate wealth. And the big thing that happens is it's contagious. You see, education is contagious, So we're seeing by the way, since 2021, 35% increase in Black male credit students enrolling in City Colleges of Chicago, 28% increase in Black female credit students enrolling at City Colleges of Chicago. So there's a direct relationship between outcomes and enrollment. When people actually see that this stuff works for them, they come into education at higher numbers. And so we have to think, why has enrollment been coming down? Partially because we haven't been delivering the goods. We got to deliver more of the goods at the end of the day, for us to see, that, overall increase. I could say more about, I think, the things that we're doing, right, to achieve some of the success. But the biggest thing we're doing is our students have to feel us. It's a heart thing, It's just a heart thing. They have to feel us. They have to know we love and care for them. And they have to see it in very concrete ways.
Well, it sounds like City Colleges of Chicago are taking the bold steps. I'm going to kick it over to Herb to ask the next question. Wow. Herb.
Wow. All right, I have the next question. In a time when DEIA is being politically targeted and defunded, what's your response? Not just as leaders, but as people with values. How are you defending the soul of this work while navigating political landmines? And I want to go with you, Karen, first, and then I'll go back to Dr. Cook.
Thank you. I think less about defending the work and more about how do we shift the narrative. Because I think defending the work puts us in a position that just is a difficult position to create an agenda around. I think I said earlier, our DNA, the composition of our students, we really believe that every student should succeed, requires us to do this work. And I don't, the labeling of it has distracted us from actually doing the work. Fundamentally, the questions, no matter what state you're in, no matter what community you're in, need to remain the same. Who's missing? Not just from our campuses, but who's missing from specific programs, who's not taking advantage of specific supports, who's missing in the post-completion metrics we're looking at. We've talked transfer being so essential, baccalaureate degree completion, all the way through post-completion metrics that John mentioned around wealth. And that we learned about with home ownership, for example. So who's missing? Who's benefiting? Who's not benefiting? And then why? And asking ourselves why, until we design the solutions to get at the why. So for me, it's not so much defending, it's continuing to be curious, unearthing the data, building the calls to wonder questions that almost make it impossible to not do the work. Our communities, are relying on us, not just the students themselves. I do worry, though, this isn't a data point that keeps me up at night, but it's more of the qualitative data point. It's the chilling influence of the rhetoric and what that will mean in the future for access for Black students who already are skeptical in some ways about post-secondary education, who, before the pandemic, community colleges especially had significant enrollment loss. We haven't recaptured that enrollment loss. And I worry we're not necessarily, we have a lot of work to do around relevancy, and we need to own that relevancy around the value of our programs. But the chilling influence is only compounding that relevancy challenge. So that's what keeps me up at night.
Dr. Cook?
Yeah, I'm going to start also with that question. What kept me up at night was the fact that if a student started below transfer level in English or math, if they started at the lowest level, and who was placed there, it was our students of color, our first generation college students, they had a 6% chance of ever clawing their way up to transfer level. Never mind passing that and then getting a degree or certificate. That one action that we've taken in California to eliminate developmental education and put students into transfer level English and math with the expectation that they have what it needs to be successful, and we can provide some supports if they need, that one issue has allowed so many more students of color and first generation college students to even attempt a college degree, to transfer, to get a job. So that piece to me should be applauded. I know it's been hard work by our faculty and our staff to make that happen, but we are seeing so many more students graduate than we ever had, or that ever had the hope of graduating, even though they set foot on our campuses. In California, we have never, this administration is about illegal discrimination, right? We have not been able to illegally discriminate. We don't use race as a factor in hiring or in admissions or anything else at the California community colleges, and we haven't for a long time. We customize supports for our students. We give them what they need in order to be successful, and that may look different for particular students, but we never have discriminated, and we'll continue not to discriminate. So it's easy to be bold about the work because we're doing the work in a context that allows us to enrich for populations and provide the support that they need. And it's about what our students need. It's about how they need to belong. It's about how they need to see representation in the classroom and in the libraries and in the support fields and in the administration. And I do worry also about if these tariffs and other things occur and we go into a recession, the ones that suffer most are the poorest of our community. And that will impact job prospects. That will impact, the ability to get a wage gain after you invest in a 2-year or 4-year education. And so I think we do everything that we can to support our students before they get to us, while they're with us, and then as they exit. And we don't have control of a lot of that, but we need to do the work, and we're committed to that work. We're committed to racial justice, and we'll continue to do within our context exactly what we've been doing. Increase outcomes and increase graduation rates, particularly for our Black students and our Latinx students as well.
Thank you so much. We're going to go with one more question. And we'd like all 4 of you to respond if we can. If you could keep your response to about 2 minutes, that would make it just right on time for us to get through. So this last question that we want to ask you is, let's get real about practice. When we are saying serving Black students, what does that really mean in policy and practice, right? At your organizations, your institutions? Can you each share one decision, big or small, that moved the needle in a tangible way? Big or small?
I'll start.
Please.
We did a joint plan with our public school system, one of the largest public school systems in the country, with our community college system, to prioritize equity to get better results. We launched it in 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and have been working on it since. And I want you to know that we went from an underrepresented Black community in dual credit, dual enrollment, to now Black students are overrepresented among students achieving a full semester worth of college credit. We've now also seen a 23% increase in Black CPS graduates that are college ready in math, and a 20% increase in English. And so, we are seeing what happens when you have intentional efforts that are targeted. And we are doubling down on that strategy with a lot of other support services that we're offering today.
Salgado, so we're talking about dual enrollment. Dr. King.
Yeah, two quick things. One, we've launched at SUNY a Black Leadership Institute with the intention to make sure that we are diversifying our leadership pipeline, but also making sure that we are investing in leaders who are committed to Black student success and who have experience and a vision for how they can contribute to Black student success. Because at the end of the day, supporting Black students means that our faculty and our leadership have to be diverse and have to have a focus on Black student success. But let me say one other thing about the earlier question about this moment, because I don't want to pass up the opportunity to just plead with everyone to avoid what I call anticipatory over-compliance. The administration is making claims that are clearly inconsistent with the law. And what we see institutions around the country doing is just giving in and doing the work for them. And so it's very important, I think, for all of us to spend a lot of time with our lawyers, be very clear on what the law is. We're always going to follow the law and court decisions, but that should not get in the way of doing this important work, including in this moment, making sure that we are teaching the truth about American history. And one of the things I'm most fearful of is this chilling effect where you see folks removing slavery, the civil rights movement from history courses. You see folks taking Toni Morrison's books off the shelves. You see people taking down the Harriet Tubman poster. We cannot do that. That is so dangerous to erase African American history, which is so central to American history.
Well, we want to thank you all for being here. This was an amazing, dynamic panel of experiences and contributions, and we thank all of you for your time and for being here today. We thank you. We are going to transition to the end of our session today. I can't believe it's almost been an hour, Herb English. Can you believe this? This is absolutely crazy. This has been too much fun. I'm just stubbed. I mean, Dr. Curry, can we see about making these an hour and a half, 2 hours? I don't know, whatever we can do.
Yeah, this panel was fire. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So just a few housekeeping items before we close with move to our closing speaker. We want to remind you about the Black Hour. Tomorrow's webinar is Black Servingness, Maintaining Our Voice and Our Action. The session will explore the importance of Black servingness nationally and in the state of California. Servingness involves surrounding students, faculty, staff with cultural ambience that allows and prioritizes the cultural heritage in ways that profoundly support and affirm our dignity and our sense of belonging. As we navigate these unprecedented times in higher ed, this session will focus on what actions can be taken now to shape Black servingness at institutions of higher ed. Please scan the QR code to make sure that you're registered for tomorrow's session. Don't miss, also we wanna remind you about the after party. You wanna continue this conversation? We got you covered. Please use the QR code here for the after party happening every day from 1 to 2. The student hour is designed for our students at our colleges. That happens between 6 and 7 p.m. And finally, on Friday, the freaking sneaker ball is happening from 5 to 8 p.m. Use the QR code to determine or to find the campus nearest you to attend that event. I am so elated. I'm sorry, one last piece. If you want to access Dr. Harris and Dr. King's reports, please use our link tree, which you'll find in the chat. And here you can scan that as well. It's got the speaker resources, PowerPoint presentations, webinars, recordings, all of that good stuff. And now I get to introduce one of my favorite people in the whole wide world of higher education, Dr. Edward Bush, president of Cosumnes River College, who will be bringing closing remarks. Dr. Bush.
Thank you, Dr. Young and President English. My heart is literally pounding out of my chest. The reason why it's pounding is not just because of nerves. It's pounding because of the urgency of the moment. It is pounding because of the love that I have for Black people and Black students and wanting to ensure that our institutions do right by them. I'm one not to believe in coincidence or happenstance. I believe everything happens with divine wisdom and with a divine purpose. So as we engage this week, and particularly on today with the idea of lift up, level up, the rise of Black serving institution with emphasis on rise. It's not lost on me, or don't find it coincidental that many millions of people throughout the world last week acknowledged Holy Week. And that just on yesterday, we were acknowledging a story around oppression, injustice, persecution, death, and resurrection. And where we find ourselves right now is another attempt to kill and to bury because of oppression and persecution. They are trying to bury and erase our history with attacks on DEIA and critical race theory. They're trying to bury our progress, that gains that we have made in this country by going back and trying to bring laws that haven't been enacted since Jim Crow. They are trying to bury our communities. They are trying to bury our future leaders through mass incarceration, through drugs and distractions. They are trying to bury our culture and our religion by changing our name since we have arrived in this country. They have attempted to bury us. And the question that we have to continue to ask and to contemplate is that why are there folks so hard, so focused, so diligent, so strategic, so hell-bent on giving us hell, to try to kill us and to bury us? Because the only thing that I could think of is the reason why folks work so hard to kill us is because they recognize that we are the Messiah. That Black people, particularly in our experience in the US, has been on the front line of every social movement. That we are the saviors of humanity. And because we've been the saviors of humanity, those in power and in control always seeks to kill and destroy that which is the most and the biggest threat to their power. And that represents Black people. But one of the things that they continue to underestimate is that no matter how much they try to kill us and to bury us, they don't understand that this idea of resurrection is an ancient story for Black people. That we understand and we know in our spirit and in our mind and in our DNA that there is life beyond death. That there is life beyond death. When we understand the story of resurrection goes back to ancient Kemet through Asur and Aset, that we understand that we are able to overcome death. And then each time they try to kill us, we reemerge stronger and better and remembered. We come out better because of Black women. As Frank mentioned, when the stone was rolled away, the first person who recognized the resurrection was Mary Magdalene, a Black woman. When Asur was needed to be brought to life, it was Isis, Aset, that breathed life back to Asur, that restored his body. So we are the saviors of humanity. People are going to our colleges right now because of these attacks, expecting to find dead bodies. Expecting us to be dead and no longer speak about the need to build and to construct pathways and put resources to Black students. They're expecting to find dead bodies, that we no longer would put resources because we're scared that someone would defund our work. They're expecting to find dead bodies because we no longer will be pacific about doing things in the name and the best interest of Black people, but they don't recognize that we understand the power of resurrection, that death cannot hold us. So in 2025, we're talking about the rise of Black institution, that we're operating with the courage and the boldness that saying nobody, no one in the office have the power over us, because we will continue to rise, continue to serve, continue to choose to do what is right and what is righteous in the name of our Black students. In California, we have the opportunity, just like the African people who survived the Ma'afa, who survived the bottom of the slave ships, who said we refuse to die. In California, we are the Black folks in our system that says we refuse to die. We will continue to serve. We will continue to center Black students. We will continue to rise as institutions, Black serving institutions. Let's go out and do this work with resurrection power, with resurrection faith, with resurrection belief and authority, knowing that no one has power to kill us when we are unkillable. Blessings. Let's go out and continue to do this work. Ashe.